The moonlight shone from the treetops, forming a little spot of light, covering the winter manor with a veil of mystery. Compared with the lively daytime, the winter manor at night is more deserted. There was no second person in the wide corridor except the sentry on duty at night. At this time, the sound of stepping came from the empty corridor. John looked around alertly, and found nothing unusual. His body shuddered involuntarily, and his slightly trembling voice exposed his nervous heart. "Neil, do you hear the footsteps?" Voice. Neil immediately looked around on guard. Neil frowned and looked at John, very speechless. "Why didn't I hear it? Did you kids secretly drink and hear again?" "Fuck you. Even if I have the courage to drink, I dare not drink while on duty, but the North Keeper knows that I am going to die." John began to shudder and said, "This manor has hundreds of years of history. It is rumored to be haunted. Today, I won't be so unlucky to be hit by our two brothers." "Haunted? Brother, don't scare me, don't you know I am most afraid of these things?" As he said, a cold wind passed by, causing Neil to get goosebumps. Neil is not afraid of anything, he is afraid of things like ghosts. "I seem to have heard what you said. The shift is about to come, so let's leave as soon as possible." There were rustling footsteps in the cold corridor. Cynthia walked in the deserted castle with an oil lamp in his hand. After leaving the castle and walking along the path for nearly 10 minutes, he would see a wooden house. The wooden house is extremely hidden, not many people know that this is Cynthia's paradise when he was a child. The wooden house is divided into upper and lower floors, with a small wooden bed placed on the upper floor, and her completed paintings are placed around the bed. The next floor is where the paint buckets, drawing boards, and paint brushes are placed. The cabin looks messy, but it looks very regular to her. Lying on the small wooden bed, the impetuosity in my heart dissipated a lot. In my memory, this was the secret base for her and her mother. When she was young, her mother often brought Cynthia to the wooden house. My mother set up a drawing board to draw outside the cabin, and she would play around. That time was really good. At that time, Samuel was still a good father, and he would lay down his work to accompany us. Everything changed 6 years ago, and she will figure out what happened 6 years ago. There was a rustling sound outside the door, which made Cynthia wake up from the memory. Although the voice was very small, Cynthia discovered it by virtue of his vigilant character for many years. Cynthia took out the lady's pistol under the bed, blew out the oil lamp and cautiously came to the window. Because the light went out, the noise outside the house also stopped. Cynthia carefully looked out the window under the moonlight. It was the boy at the banquet during the day. He sat motionless by the door, still wearing the clothes for the banquet. Cynthia put away the gun, opened the door, and looked at the boy indifferently. "Why did you do this?" The deserted voice awakened Leon, who was immersed in fantasy. He seemed to hear Miss Cynthia's voice. The day banquet made him the bodyguard of Miss Cynthia, and he was much freer than ever. Because of the regulations of the winter manor, the killer can't go to many places, and can only stay in the prescribed place to train and wait for the task. Sometimes it takes many days for a task. People who are still smiling at you today may not be able to come back in a few days. Goodbye is goodbye. Following Cynthia to the wooden house and peering into her secrets, Leon was full of ecstasy. Everything about Cynthia was so mysterious and fascinated him deeply. Cynthia looked at the boy in front of him, his curled-up body trembling all the time. "Hey! Are you uncomfortable?" The boy buried his head in silence, and Cynthia crouched down to face the boy and raised the boy's chin with his fingers. "Are you following me? I wonder if there is a night ban in Winter Manor." The boy's fair skin was red with freezing, and his wet eyes made people want to protect him. "What a cute little thing! What to do? She seems to be tempted." Cynthia sighed. "Oh, forget it, come in with me when it's so cold." The boy followed Cynthia into the wooden house. Cynthia added new firewood to the fireplace to make the house warmer. There are a total of 2 sofas in the house. Cynthia pointed to the burgundy sofa opposite and said, "Don't keep standing, you sit down. By the way, I don't know your name yet." The cold air on the boy's body was gradually evaporating, and the temperature of his body warmed up. Leon looked at Cynthia piously. "Patrick, my name is Patrick Leon." Cynthia got up and brought a cup of hot tea to Leon. "Why are you outside, Leon?" Leon's face turned red, and he explained in a low voice, "I was probably too excited to fall asleep. When I returned to the room, I found that I was lost. Later, I found that the suspicious person followed. I did not expect it to be Miss Cynthia. I've been following the danger until here." Leon lied. He was not lost. How could he get lost? He has lived in Winter Manor for 4 years, he is familiar with everything here. Because of the hierarchy, Cynthia did not find his existence. He has been there all the time watching Cynthia, always looking forward to Cynthia's existence. Cynthia looked at Leon and smiled. "Oh, that's how it is." Cynthia looked at Leon's shy look. "Thank you for your concern, Leon. There is no danger here, but Leon, you are quite dangerous now." The boy's wet eyes were full of doubts, and he looked at Cynthia secretly for a few seconds and then quickly lowered his head in fear that she would find the thoughts in her heart. Cynthia looked at the shy boy in front of him, thinking about how he survived in Cobb Hall, known as the Demon Concentration Camp. Being able to survive in that kind of environment means that the boy in front of him is not as harmless as it looks. The more beautiful things are, the more toxic. Cynthia knows the mystery well. This cabin is the forbidden area of Winter Manor. Don't get lost again next time. You will be punished severely if you are seen. Leon felt the change in Cynthia's mood, his eyes gradually dimmed. "Okay, Miss Cynthia." Cynthia saw Leon's darkened eyes. "You stay here today, and go home with me tomorrow." Leon lowered his head, his eyes were covered by the hair and he couldn't see his current expression. "How can a humble person like me live in the same room with Miss Cynthia? I will leave immediately." Leon is looking forward to staying. He wants to look at Cynthia and stay with her. This is what he has dreamed of all these years. But there were only 2 of them in this cabin, and it was discovered that it would damage Miss Cynthia's reputation, and when she was entangled, she decided to leave. As soon as Leon was about to open the door and go out, Cynthia stopped him. "The patrol in Winter Manor will send extra manpower in the second half of the night. It will be troublesome to explain if you are leaving now and being discovered." Cynthia looked at Leon's slightly trembling hand on the doorknob. "Without my consent, the Winter Manor patrol will not come in here, not even the father's order." In the morning, the first rays of the sun shone through the gaps in the curtains. Leon didn't sleep almost all night. He was afraid that everything was a dream and would disappear when he fell asleep. He watched the fire in the fireplace all night, fearing that there would not be enough wood for the fireplace. The fire inside put out Cynthia's cold. When Cynthia went to bed together, he saw Leon standing by the fireplace, with such an ugly face. "This kid won't sleep all night." Leon saw Cynthia coming down from the second floor and said respectfully, "Miss Cynthia has the hot water ready." Cynthia did not speak and watched the harmless boy in front of him fall into deep thought. The boy's folied love was discovered by Cynthia the first time he saw him. Although the look in her eyes for just a few seconds reminded her of the look when her father looked at her mother, love can be used to good advantage. The Kelton family has no sympathy, only the relationship between use and being used. On the way back, I passed through the garden and met Cedar and a young male friend of hers. "Cynthia, you stopped for me. Did you go there so early? The North Butler was looking for you early in the morning, but I didn't see you. Silhouette also asked me if I saw you." Cynthia looked at the man next to Saida and said with a smile, "Saida, is this your new boyfriend? He's pretty handsome." Leon, who has been following Cynthia, heard Cynthia's words and raised his head to look at the man in the distance. He has not seen anyone wearing a white suit that looks so good. The man next to Miss Saida has green pupils and golden eyes. Hair, his tall figure and Miss Sida stand together very commensurate. The man looked at Sida dozingly, and smiled when he heard Cynthia's words, "I haven't caught up with your sister. I don't know if I am honored to be her boyfriend." Sida frowned. "Cynthia, you are being listened to nonsense. Who doesn't know that the eldest master of the Rock family is a popular lover in the girl's heart? I can't afford it." Morris looked at Cedar affectionately. "I only have you in my heart, my sweetheart." Sida looked at Morris with disgust. "Morris, don't say such disgusting words." Cynthia looked at the interaction between them. As expected, Sida, who is poisonous, seems to have run into an opponent. "I'll go to North, you guys keep talking." After Cynthia left, Morris said to Sida, "Sida, who is the boy next to Cynthia?" "Oh, it looks like the bodyguard Cynthia fancied at yesterday's banquet. I think this person is not easy. When I look at me, he is full of vigilance, but in an instant he has reduced his spirit. Based on my years of dealings with people of all kinds, this person's city is probably very deep. Let's take a look first. It's okay to put your thoughts in your heart. If you have other ideas, you can find someone to do it." Morris joked, "You are still so cold-blooded. I have been chasing you for so long. You don't care about it. You are so concerned about meeting Cynthia. I heard other people say that your two sisters are at odds. It seems that the rumors are after all cannot be trusted. Cynthia is my sister. Even if I hate her, I can't let anyone hurt her." When I came to the front hall, the butler of North was standing next to the maid who was confessing the affairs, and saw Cynthia. "Miss Cynthia, where did you go?" "Lord Samuel is going to France. Ask the lady if you have any gifts to bring." "North, father needs to go for a long time. There is a problem with the business in France, Mr. Samuel said. It's been more than a month." "North, tell your father, bring me a picture of Master Jack. Is there nothing else you want?" Cynthia shrugged helplessly. "North, you know, I don't lack anything. My only hobby is to collect celebrity paintings." "North, did the boy named Patrick Leon arrange a place to live?" "We have sorted out 5 suites some time ago, and they can move in directly after the banquet." "It is good." Cynthia returned to the room, jumped onto the soft bed, staring directly at the ceiling. Samuel was going to be away for a month, and it seemed that he had to plan well. The banquet was held, and everyone in Winter Manor took it very seriously. The sentinels in the garden more than doubled, and they were summoned. It was North who was speaking. With a grim face, he had very high rights in Winter Manor, and many people were afraid of him. His deeds have been circulated in the Cobb Hall training camp. North entered the Cobb Hall training camp at the age of 12 and spent 4 years completing countless outstanding tasks. No one has broken it yet. At the age of 18, he officially entered the headquarters of the Curtin family to play for Samuel's father Aubrey. In 20 years, from a little-known little figure to Aubrey's confidant, it is not known why North would become the steward of Winter Manor. Master Samuel attaches great importance to this banquet. No emergencies can happen in the manor. If something happens, each of you will be punished. North's cold voice echoed in the ears of every guard. Everyone's the hearts are extremely heavy. The first banquet was held to celebrate the 16th birthday of Miss Cynthia and to choose the most loyal bodyguard for Miss Cynthia. The selection was very harsh, and as long as she was successfully elected, she would be able to reach the sky. Miss Cynthia is the youngest daughter of Lord Samuel and the most beloved jewel of the 3 children. No matter what Miss Cynthia wants, Lord Samuel will order someone to find him, even the star Samuel in the sky. Will also buy one to be crowned Cynthia Samuel Kelton. The number of primary candidates is as high as 1,000, and only 20 people are left after screening through layers, and only 5 people are left in the last 20 people. According to internal sources, Lord Samuel has appointed 2 candidates for his beloved little daughter. Miss Cynthia's biological brother Simpson also chose a candidate for his beloved sister, and Miss Cedar, the eldest daughter of Samuel, also recommended a candidate. Miss Cedar and Miss Cynthia are half-parents. Miss Cynthia's mother is a mysterious woman from the East. His mother is a rare beauty, so everyone has only one chance left, which is Miss Cynthia. Your own choice. Cynthia sat on the sofa on the second floor leaning against Samuel next to her, watching the banquet downstairs boringly. When will the father's banquet end? Percy will lose my temper if I can't see me for a long time. Samuel looked at the butler of North and signalled that he could start, then turned his head and said spoilingly, "Posy? Is it your new pet?" Cynthia said, "Well, the kitten Simpson gave me." Cat. Samuel frowned slightly. "I will keep a disobedient little thing, and my sweetheart will give you another cat of what breed my father likes." Cynthia sat up straight and shook his head. "No need for my father, I like small things with a temper so that life won't be so boring." Leon entered the selection team and was lucky to be one of the 20 candidates. He looked at Cynthia, who was close at hand. Only because of this opportunity he could look at Cynthia unscrupulously, and no longer need to be secretly afraid of you finding out. On February 5, 2002, I joined Cobb Hall, known as the Demon Set Training Camp. I know that only then can I see you again. Whenever I can't hold on, I think of your smile. I know I have fallen in love with you deeply, and I don't know why my love for you is so strong. You seem to have cast a curse on me, and this curse has become stronger with the passage of time. On October 12, 2002, this was my first mission. I was seriously injured during this mission. I thought I would die in a cold corner of the street, getting cold and smelly, and being eaten by rats. But when I thought that I would never see you again, my heart was filled with strong unwillingness. That is, this belief has always supported me and did not let me pass out. On December 15, 2002, it was the time when we met for the first time. The fate was so wonderful that two people who could not meet each other met. On May 6, 2004, I was injured while performing a mission. I forced myself to persevere. When I thought, I haven't personally picked the roses with the smell of dawn and put them in your ears. I haven't kissed the back of your white hands. It was this belief that allowed me to survive the most difficult period. In the morning, when the sun shines into the house, I can see your white-side face as soon as I open my eyes, and I can also see the tiny hairs on your face. Everything about you is so cute, which makes me so fascinated. If my extravagant hopes can come true, then I must be very happy, like being in heaven. But I know that I am like a mouse hiding in a cold corner coveting the warmth of your body. Everything about you is perfect, and your body should not be stained with my filth. On June 10, 2005, I entered Winter Manor, one step closer to seeing you. On November 3, 2005, I saw you again. Your indifferent eyes made me crazy. Because of this, I am so glad that you haven't found your star yet. I hope you can keep going like this, not staying for anyone, but I am unwilling. Why can't I stay in your eyes, even for a second? If one day your eyes are not cold and dazzling, I think I will go crazy. I will kill him, who made you change. Cynthia, I have been looking forward to one day you can notice me the presence. On March 15, 2006, as soon as I finished my mission, I flew back to Winter Manor. I urgently wanted to see you. Only you can soothe my restless soul and calm me down. On April 1, 2006, I was hiding behind the bushes and looking at you foolishly. I hope you can look back and find me and smile at me. Then today must be a lucky day for me. I don't expect to be able to stand by your side, I only hope that you can notice me when you look at the crowd. On May 15, 2006, you were drinking tea in the garden this afternoon. You have not drunk the tea in your hand for a long time while holding the teacup. You look into the distance and don't know what you are thinking. I went crazy and wanted to know you were there. Thinking about what can make you so moved and forget to put down the teacup in your hand? On August 19, 2006, I found that I missed you all the time. When I was eating, reading, or sleeping, your figure would always appear in front of me. When I saw you, I was deeply attracted by you. I knew that the of fate brought you to my side. I don't think I will be able to get rid of you in my whole life. You are my poison. My only faith. On November 21, 2006, tomorrow is your 16th birthday. How I want to personally give you my gift, it is ridiculous that I never even had such an opportunity. On November 22, 2007, Lord Samuel prepared a grand banquet for you today. I stood in the distance and looked at you with delicate makeup in the center of the ball. I was only 10 steps away from you. Just take 10 steps. I can come to your side and give my most sincere kiss. It's only 10 steps away, but it's so far away. Dear Cynthia, do you know that, in places you don't know, someone has prepared for 6 years just for you to meet him? Butler North stood at the front of the team. The rest of you through the selection are all very good, and you all must pass the oath to become Miss Cynthia's bodyguard. Butler North walked to them. Let's start on number 1. Number 1 walked forward and bowed deeply in front of Cynthia. Miss Cynthia is my most honorable master, and I will be your most faithful servant. After taking the oath on the first, North continued, okay, please take the oath on the 2 nd. Miss Cynthia, I will sacrifice my life and will always guard you. 3, 4. The boring confession ceremony lasted for more than an hour. Cynthia sat in the position, thoughts have drifted away, when can this idiot ceremony end? Oath on the 18th. It was the 18th, and Leon walked to Cynthia with a nervous heart and offered his most sincere confession, Cynthia, you are my faith, and I will always love you deeply. Leon seemed to see Cynthia's lips talking. Leon was too nervous to hear what Cynthia said. On the 18th? Miss Cynthia asked you a question. What? Leon couldn't help being stunned. This was the first time he had listened to Cynthia's speech so close in so many years. Cynthia said again, there are so many people who love me, what are you? No, no. Leon said eagerly, I love you more than anyone else, humble like dust, I can even die for you. Leon couldn't say these words, because there are many people who can die for Miss Cynthia, not me. Cynthia smiled calmly, so, you don't love me, do you? No, no. Leon eagerly denied. Well, North is next. Suddenly Leon heard the ridicule around him, he knew it was all over. North leaned over and said, Miss Cynthia asks you to choose the last bodyguard. Cynthia looked up at Samuel and asked for his opinion, Father, what do you think of the 18th? When he heard Cynthia say the 18th, Leon looked up fiercely and saw Cynthia smiling at him. Leon's palms kept sweating, nervously listening to Lord Samuel's answer. My dear, I can't make a decision for you. This is your common goffage ceremony. Follow your heart. I know how to choose, thank you Father. North is the 18th, he left a deep impression on me. There were voices of envy and jealousy all around, that kid is lucky, he looks more delicate than a woman, cut. I don't know if he was chosen by relationship. Paul, I said that your kid is jealous of others. I heard that kid has the means. I heard that the people who met him are very miserable. Paul laughed sarcastically, he is as good as you said? I think that kid is lucky, and everyone he meets is too rubbish. Tangen smiled and said, well, Paul, I can't tell you, I hope you will remember what I said next time you meet him. On both sides of the thorny roads are blooming quiet roses, which exude an intoxicating fragrance to entice the passing pedestrians, making them stay and watch and forget their purpose when they came, and get lost in an endless dream. At 7 o'clock in the morning, Cynthia was still asleep, and the knock on the door came as promised. North was really more punctual than the alarm clock. Today is the day to study in Kolo Hall. Kolo Hall is a veritable aristocratic college. It has a history of 200 years since its establishment. Cynthia's father also graduated from this college. This college's hierarchical system is particularly serious. Many political celebrities want their children to enter Kolo Hall, just because it is an academy with important connections, but it only enrolls the children of nobles, only in recent years. The enrollment system was relaxed. Cynthia has studied in Kolo Hall since he was a child. Kolo Hall is divided into elementary school, middle school, and university. Now the 16-year-old Cynthia is studying in the middle school. The butler of North stood by the bed, and Cynthia slowly stretched his head out of the warm bed, and said coquettishly to North, "North, can you not go today? I went to college and Posey would be very reluctant to bear me." North said helplessly, "The college can raise pets. You can see Percy when you return to the dormitory after class, and Miss Cynthia. You have missed many classes this semester, and you want to become Kelton. Is the first person in the family to fail to graduate at Kolo Hall College." Cynthia's mood suddenly became very unhappy, but she was still very educated not to let herself be angry. "North, you are still so old-fashioned, how can I not graduate with the status of the Curtin family? Okay, I will. Those who study hard will not become sinners of the Curtin family. In the winter, Millsy has no sunshine all year round, and it is gloomy weather every day. It took almost half an hour to drive to Kolo Hall College. Unlike the past, there is an extra Leon in the car. The college stipulates that you can take it with you." The bodyguard entered. Samuel had arranged bodyguards for Cynthia before, but they were rejected by Cynthia. Now it is different, because Leon is the person she is very interested in. 3 hours away, Miss Cynthia leaned in the back seat and kept her eyes closed. Leon couldn't guess what she was thinking. In the morning, the butler of North ordered the 5 of them to see Miss Cynthia off. Leon's heart suddenly became frustrated. Cynthia was out of sight for another week. In the past, Leon was secretly hiding in the distance watching her leave. Now, although he can see her off in an upright manner, he despicably wants more in his heart. He wants to stay by Cynthia all the time. Cynthia sat in the car and looked at Leon in the crowd. "North, let Leon follow." North glanced at Leon in the crowd, and said nothing. "Okay, miss." The college's dormitory is an old castle. This castle existed much earlier than the completion of Kolo Hall College. Rumors of haunting have been circulating among students. Students are rarely seen playing outside after midnight. In the past, Kolo Hall College did not allow students to hang around outside after the lights were turned off. There were night patrol teachers every night. If the night patrol teacher found out, credits would be deducted. A student's credit is 100 points. If a student's credit is less than 60 points, he will be dropped out. This also caused the night at Kolo Hall College to be extremely quiet, so that it turned into a ghost for students who have not returned to the dormitory after midnight, and whether the ghost is a teacher or a real ghost. Got it. Each student's bedroom in Kolo Hall is a separate bedroom for each student, but there are also cases where several students live together, but these must be selected according to the options on the form when enrolling. After filling it out and handing it to the dormitory administrator, he will allocate dormitories to the students according to different situations. Cynthia chose a separate bedroom. The decoration style of each bedroom in the college is the same. The only difference is that some students' bedrooms are larger and larger. The bedroom is smaller. Cynthia chose a medium-sized bedroom. The reason why she likes this bedroom is very simple. The bedroom has a large window and the scenery is very good and the view is very open. The student dormitory in Kolo Hall is really big and incredible. If there is no one to lead, the first time people may get lost. Leon followed Cynthia and walked through many corridors and stairs to reach Cynthia's bedroom. Cynthia sat on the sofa quietly looking at Leon standing in the middle of the bedroom, and suddenly said, "Do you know why I chose you to follow me?" Leon stood in the middle, shaking his head hurriedly. Cynthia looked at Leon with a smile. "Why are you so easily nervous? How did you accomplish your previous assassination missions?" When faced with Cynthia, Leon, "I can't help but become nervous," I, I, I work hard to complete the task every time, and I will take good care of Miss Cynthia. Cynthia put down the teacup in his hand, and banged his hand on the tabletop thinking, the reason why you were chosen by me, you should thank your parents for the look you gave you. I like your look very much, otherwise you will even have the opportunity to stand by my side. Not at all. I hope you will only be loyal to me, otherwise you can be replaced at any time, and I will not keep anyone with dissidence by my side. The long shredded hair covering Leon's forehead cannot see his current expression. Will he be abandoned at any time? It turned out that I was just a dispensable person. The despair and unwillingness made Leon's body begin to tremble, and the mist rose in his eyes so that Leon could not see Cynthia's current expression. Looking at Leon trembling in front of him, Cynthia recalled the scene of seeing Percy for the first time. The dim sky was drizzling, while Percy was hiding in the courtyard where Cynthia painted and shivered. The little guy looked. It seems to be very cold upstairs, this kind of weather can kill it at any time. The word sympathy cannot appear in the dictionary of the Kelton family. For some reason, Cynthia saved the little milk cat. Maybe it was just too lonely. Because he was immersed in the sad world, Leon didn't notice when Cynthia appeared beside him. Leon's guard against people was weak and vulnerable in front of Cynthia, erasing Leon's tears. Why are you crying? Cynthia was a little surprised. This was the first time someone cried in front of her. It's because of me? Then I apologize to you. It's just my thoughts. If you can't accept it, you can leave anytime. Leon looked at Cynthia sincerely. I will not leave you. This sentence is like an oath, rooted in Leon's heart. Cynthia burst out laughing suddenly. Leon, you are innocent like a child. You are pretty cute, but are you still the killer of the frightening Kelton Hall family? I need to go to class during the day and you don't need it. Follow me all the time. You can leave at any time if you have a task. The security measures of the college are still quite sound, so you are not worried. Leon stood upright next to Cynthia and listened to Cynthia's arrangement. He had never thanked his parents for the face that Miss Cynthia likes like he did now. It turned out that he had been worrying about this one that was not lethal. Face, he was very happy now, happy that this face made Cynthia notice him. It's been more than 10 minutes since Cynthia's departure. Leon has been staying in Cynthia's bedroom, and the cell phone rang. Scorpion, why are you answering the phone now? Now that there is a problem with the goods, Fairy asked me to contact you but I can't get in touch. Now you come to the stronghold immediately and discuss what to do next. Leon came to the stronghold. The stronghold they said was a bar, but it was also a short-term stronghold, and the stronghold of their activities changed at any time. The blonde women in the bar, there are all kinds of people here. There are drug dealers, arms dealers, and local gangsters. Sitting at the bar, Hound was talking to the bartender. Girl, Julie, my sweetheart, your kung fu at bartending is the best I have ever seen. Julie pursed her mouth, just when Hound was thinking, chaos, love, fascinated, a heavy blow from his abdomen pulled his mind back. Julie tied Hound to a chair and stuffed his mouth with something to make him unable to open his mouth, making a noise with the outside. The environment is much quieter than the room. Hound looked at Julie angrily and accused her of doing this. Julie ignored the angry Hound and took his clothes, clean. She was rummaging in Hound's clothes. Hound looked at her actions from a distance and said with a bad tone, "Who are you? Approaching. What purpose do I have?" Because Hound was gagged, he could only make a buzzing, 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 buzzing sound. Julie rummaged for a while but didn't find what she wanted. She saw the fruit knife on the table, picked up the knife, and gestured in front of Hound with a nasty smile. Do you think I should leave it for you before I leave? What gift, so that you will always remember me. Your handsome face really almost made me forget the task. You have so many little lovers. If I carve something on it, will your little lovers love you? After that, Julie laughed out loud. Hound looked pale and angrily at the mad woman in front of him. He would only look at the woman in front of him when he was blind. His inner desire had been replaced by anger. Now he just wanted to kill the mad woman in front of him. Julie picked up Hound's chin with a knife. Your angry expression is so charming, what should I do? I'm a little bit reluctant to cut your face. Julie said with a sad expression, if you don't cut it, you'll seduce other women. If that's the case, I'll be jealous. Let's cut it, ha 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 ha. Julie's smile proved that she is in a good mood now. Hound looked extremely angry. His muscles were tight and his body was shaking involuntarily. He had never been humiliated like this before. He vowed that he would kill the woman in front of him. Julie looked at the man who was trembling with anger, and said indifferently, do you really want to kill me? But unfortunately you have no chance because you will become a dead person soon. At the end of the game, pray that you can go to heaven. Julie took a knife and stabbed into Hound's heart. The warm blood slowly flowed out along the wound. Julie stood up straight and looked down at Hound by her feet. The blood flowed more and Hound's consciousness slowly became blurred. I don't know. After a long time there was a knock on the door, and Hound breathed a sigh of relief at the last moment of losing consciousness. Leon patrolled the noisy bar and saw his partner sitting at the bar. When he went out, Leon changed into casual clothes and wore a black hat. He lowered the brim of his hat and squeezed past the crowd to his partner. Bob is having fun with Tim. How did you arrive, Scorpion? Brothers have been waiting for you for a long time. It was Bob who was talking, and he saw the handsome boy sitting next to him and said. Bob turned to the bartender and had another glass of rum. He touched his fat belly and smiled and said, Scorpion, this is a good thing. Leon thought that Miss Cynthia should not like the smell of wine on him. Leon said calmly to the bartender, just give me a glass of warm water. Tim joked, Bob, didn't you damage our little Scorpion? Little Scorpion can't drink as an underage. Without seeing Hound's figure, Leon asked Bob next to him, where is Hound? Didn't he call us to come over? Bob and Tim looked at each other and smiled, and Tim said ambiguously, Scorpion, you are still young, so you shouldn't know what Hound is doing now. Leon smelled sparse blood when he came, but now the smell of blood is getting stronger and stronger. Leon frowned and said to Bob, Bob, do you smell blood? He has a sensitive sense of taste from a young age, and he can smell the smell that most people can't smell. Such a strong smell in this bar with a strong smell of alcohol can hardly conceal that someone has shed a lot of blood. Leon became cautious, and his tone became serious. Is the stronghold exposed? Where is Hound? Bob drank helplessly. Little Scorpion, you don't need to be so nervous. We haven't been to this stronghold a few times, so it won't be so easy to expose. Ignoring Bob, Leon stood up and followed the smell to a door. He stood outside the door and said to Bob and Tim, the smell of blood comes from here. Tim was surprised and said, how could it be possible that in Hound, he played too much and killed that woman? Knocked on the door, there was no response inside. Hound, are you in there? We came in without speaking. Bob violently kicked the door open with his foot and saw an incredible scene. Hound was lying on the ground and bleeding a lot. This kid has never lost his hand, but now he is planted in the hands of a woman. Tim simply bandaged Hound and took Hound to the private clinic from the back door. When Hound's condition stabilized, it was already more than 2 o'clock in the morning. Leon greeted Bob and Tim and left the clinic tiredly. It was 3 o'clock in the morning when I returned to Colo Hall. Leon escaped the patrol and returned to the dormitory. Leon came to Cynthia's bed and quietly looked at her sleeping face for a while, and made sure that Cynthia was the state of deep sleep. Leon wanted to reach out to touch Cynthia's face, and stopped halfway through his hand. He was afraid that Cynthia would be awakened by himself, so he stayed by the bed and looked at her, trying to imprint her face deeply in his mind. Never forget it for a lifetime. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Leon looked at Cynthia, who was still sleeping, and said in a low voice, Miss Cynthia should get up. Leon shook Cynthia gently and saw that Cynthia didn't want to get up at all. She turned over and fell asleep again. Leon sighed helplessly, "You will be late if you get up, Miss Cynthia." Cynthia opened his eyes in a daze, and looked at Leon, who was standing by the bed. The handsome boy looked so good at everything. Leon stood aside respectfully with his hands folded, and said softly, "Cynthia, my lady's breakfast is ready, you can eat after you wash up." Cynthia looked at the handsome boy in front of him, thought for a while and said, "How late did you come back yesterday?" Leon's eyelashes blinked. As Cynthia's gaze turned red on his cheeks, he replied in a low voice, "It's not too late, Miss Cynthia. I didn't have a mission yesterday. I just went to see a friend." Leon's face was very pale, and because the black eye corners staying up all night was obvious, Cynthia thought in her heart that no one can see the eye circles if the brat doesn't tell the truth. Cynthia still said calmly on the surface, "Today you have a good rest in the dormitory. I will tell my father that I don't need to send you tasks. You can just follow me in the future." Leon is full of joy. Is Miss Cynthia caring about me? With this feeling, he wanted to be in heaven. Leon's mouth could not help but rose up, and his expression of joy was all over his face. Cynthia saw Leon, who was immersed in joy. This kid's character, so easily satisfying, was not like someone from the killer camp of Kilton Hall. Cynthia would not have thought that Leon would be the most unsatisfied person in the future. After breakfast, Cynthia went to Colo Hall Middle School alone, and students along the way would greet her. This can show that Cynthia's popularity is still very good. Butler North has always worried that Cynthia's personality is too calm and unsocial. If Butler North sees the situation, he will be very proud. Cynthia focuses on economics, but she also took art appreciation as an elective. Colo Hall College is a free academic hall. As long as you have the ability, no matter how old you are, you can choose your favorite subject. This morning's course was history. Cynthia came to the class not early or late. When the students saw Cynthia walking in, they all greeted her, "Cynthia, good morning." There were greetings one after another, and Cynthia nodded with a smile, and said gently to the classmate who invited him to share food, "Thank you for your kindness, I have already eaten breakfast." The freckled girl with yellow curly hair on the left side of Cynthia said excitedly, "Cynthia is so gentle." Cynthia looked at the girl next to her and smiled at her. The girl was stunned, and she was silent in her heart. Excited, ah, 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 so happy. Back at the position, the friend Noel next to him said dissatisfiedly, "It's annoying to see them. Isn't it tiring to have so many people around me every day?" Cynthia looked at his friend's impatient expression and smiled and said, "Also well, they are all cute." Noel rolled his eyes, "A hypocritical woman, let them see your true character, and see if they will worship you so blindly." Cynthia's smiling expression remained unchanged, the corners of her mouth raised, and he opened Noel's ears and said wickedly, "Noel, they will never know, because people who know my true nature are no longer living in the world." Noel looked at Cynthia in surprise, as if saying, "How could you be so cruel?" Cynthia looked at Noel's scared expression and laughed, "Noel, I lied to you, you won't believe it." Noel said angrily, "Cynthia, you are too bad, I hate you." After speaking, he turned around and ignored her. Noel and she are friends who grew up together since childhood. When they were young, Noel was not as interesting as they are now, not talking, and not so venomous as they are now. Noel's father and her father are good friends, unlike his father who only loves his mother. Noel's father is very romantic. Although Noel's father is very carefree, there are countless women who like him. Those women might be for his money, and Noel's father was very handsome and very good at teasing women, and he would be with different women every day. He said that the fragrance of women is the best smell in the world. He has tasted many beautiful smells, and he has been pursuing the ultimate taste all his life. Noel didn't like his father, she often complained about her father, his father rarely went home and made her mother sad every day. Noel's mother loves her father very much. Her parents can be regarded as childhood sweethearts. Noel's mother married Noel's father as she wished when she was 18 years old. Noel's mother told her that her father loved her. She knew that Noel's father didn't want to settle down, but he settled down for her. She said that if one day you can't see the love for yourself in the eyes of Noel's father, that was when she left. She was very disgusted by her mother's answer. Seeing Noel sulking alone, Cynthia was helpless. I found a delicious dessert shop opened near the college. Let's take a look after class. Norcy looked back and frowned, as if thinking of some bad memory. The new dessert shop? It won't be like the one that Annie recommended us to last time. The taste is really hard to describe. The strange taste is just it's like over-fermented food makes it hard to swallow. No, this dessert shop I visited last time, it tastes good, the environment is also very good, the school is also recommended by many students. Well, let's go and see, I hope it won't be as unpalatable as last time. Okay, my Queen Noelle, everything is up to you. Now you can listen to the class without getting angry. Leon drove to the private clinic and visited the injured Hound. Bob, how is Hound now? Bob, who was sitting on the sofa, was looking at the newspaper in his hand. Bob was a fat man. Putting down the newspaper, sighed, Hound is okay. He has woken up, but he has lost too much blood and his body is a little weak. Now he is asleep again. Bob looked at the boy in front of him. He had a cool temperament and a clean way of doing things. He completed several missions very well, occupying an important position in their team. By the way, the superior has ordered this mission and you don't need to follow it anymore. Other tasks have been arranged for you to protect the little princess. Leon saw Bob's concern, but Bob didn't know that his purpose of joining the Curtin family was to get close to Cynthia. He has always worked hard for this goal. It's mine to protect Miss Cynthia. With pleasure. The fat body trembled with Bob's laugh. That's right, it is a great honor for us to protect the little princess personally. Bob said jokingly, Little Scorpio, don't forget, Tim and Hound, we will be desperate in the future, and we can return to you. Leon was complicated at the moment. He handed the team's belongings to Bob and said solemnly, Thank you for taking care of me for so many years. Bob secretly wiped his tears. When did our little Scorpio become so polite? This kind of character is not like you. I still like the indifferent little Scorpio before. Tim looked at Bob speechlessly. He patted Bob's back to comfort him. It's not that we won't see you again. He told Leon, take care of yourself in the future and don't try so hard. Leon lowered his head, the corners of his eyes were slightly moist. He didn't want Bob to see himself like this. After speaking, he quickly turned and left the hospital. I know, let's go. Bob said discouragedly, Tim, you said that this kid has left so little? Hey, I don't know if he will offend the little princess because of his character in the future. Tim sighed helplessly, I hope not. Class is about to end, Cynthia. Today's class is really boring. Professor Kingston couldn't come to class for us because of something. He couldn't see his handsome face. I feel that I don't have much motivation to study today. Cynthia raised her eyebrows in surprise. Didn't you say that Professor Kingston is an old-fashioned thing last time? The lessons taught were also very boring. Why, I changed my taste today. Noel frowned and looked at Professor Drake, who was still packing his lessons on the podium, and said, compared with Professor Drake, Professor Kingston is handsome and more golden. Professor Drake is famous for his staid personality. The assignments assigned by Professor Drake just now will be handed in on Wednesday, so I won't be able to finish it even if I give me another week. Cynthia looked helplessly at her friends who kept complaining about how harsh, weird, and terrifying Professor Drake was. Dividing line. Walking near the library, Cynthia remembered the book that he forgot to bring with the library card last time when he came to the library. Noelle, wait, I'll go to the library to find a book. Looking for a book? Cynthia, are you sure you want to go now? What's wrong? Are you hungry now? Cynthia asked suspiciously. No, a new administrator came to the library a month ago. Because of his ugly face, many students who went to read were shocked by her. All the students who woke up said that they were hell. Later, they realized that she was not, and the students treated her. His description is also very scary. It looks like an evil witch and blood. It's terrible. Let's not go in. You're talking about Camille? I've seen her a few times and it's not as scary as the rumors. Really? Noelle asked suspiciously. Noelle, if you are scared, you can wait for me here and I'll be back soon. Noelle frowned. She didn't want to enter, but she wanted to accompany Cynthia. No, I asked Dawson to accompany us, I will call him right away. He dialed the phone. Hey, Dawson, come to the east entrance of library number 38, urgent. He hung up the phone after speaking, without giving Dawson a chance to speak. Dawson is Noel's bodyguard, and he has been protecting Noel all these years, so Noel must call him for anything dangerous. Noel stubbornly pulled Cynthia to prevent her from entering. After 5 minutes passed, Dawson ran to Noel's. Noel's bodyguard wore a black suit with a serious expression on his face. He was always vigilantly observing the movement around him. Noel curled his lips. Dawson, you can't keep your face open all day. Danger, you will scare my friend like this. Apology bowed his head, and said to Cynthia, Sorry, Miss Samuel. Cynthia smiled and said it didn't matter. The library is a rectangular building with a glass ceiling in the middle of the top floor, and sunlight can shine through the roof. A front desk is set up 10 meters from the entrance of the gate, and the workers will let you in only after showing the relevant documents. The library has 10 floors. There is an old elevator on the first floor that can reach the 10th floor. However, there are about 30 rooms on each floor. The intricate design may get lost for the first time. The corridors are quiet, with an old smell in the air. Most of the books in the library have been stored for many years, and some books have a strong smell. Now most students have gone to the cafeteria, only a few students are still reading. The library in Colo Hall has a long history. The library will close at 8 o'clock. Now it is less than an hour before 8 o'clock. It seems that the library is so big that we must hurry up. Noelle looked at the long-standing building and couldn't help but sigh. Colo Hall is worthy of being a famous academic hall. The building is magnificent and the reliefs on the walls are exquisite and delicate. Every stroke depicts its humanistic feelings. From the 14th century to the 16th century, European countries were a period in the development of cultural thought. Greece's relief art was also deeply influenced, which was the revival of art and culture under the influence of classical norms. A caring, respecting, and people-oriented world outlook has been formed. In relief art, the artist emphasizes emotional romance and classical calm temperance. The most prominent is the advancement of humanism and science and technology, as well as the advancement of artistic creativity. A group of 3 people shuttled through the maze set by books. I remember that the book was found on the 6th floor that day. I don't know if it was borrowed. The library's books are listed in many categories and the amount of work is huge. Cynthia suddenly thought that he could find the room and arrangement of it with the administrator, so he wouldn't have to waste time. Noelle, there is an administrator on each floor of the library who is responsible for sorting out books. I'll go to him and check it for me. Find the room where the administrator usually works. Boom, 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 is anyone there? The reply sounded like an elderly lady, her voice was very kind, and the small window next to the room opened. I am Roma, dear children, what happened? Ms. Roma, I am a sophomore in high school. I want to find a book, but I forgot where it is stored. Oh, it turned out to be like this. What is the name of the book? I'll look it up for you. Cynthia opened his mouth and preached. The name of the book is Desolate Mountain Villa and it is the work of Charles Dickens. Ms. Roma stood up, took the white gloves on the table, walked to the bookcase and used the key to open one of the cabinets to take out the notebook. She looked at us and smiled and said, "This records all the books on the 6th floor. List the positions, you will find them soon." Holding the thick notebook, Ms. Roma sat at the table and searched it. The notebook looked a bit yellowish, indicating that it had been used to find the catalogue of books for a long time, but it was very well preserved. The cover was carefully bound. Every time Ms. Roma looked up, she was careful not to destroy its integrity. Time slipped away from Roma's hands. Now the sky was completely dark. The phone in his hand suddenly glowed. It was Leon's message, "Miss Cynthia, dinner is ready and I need to pick it up. You. The cooked food has begun to get cold, and the taste of the food will drop sharply." Leon, who is still in the dormitory, is very upset. It has been more than an hour since Cynthia dismissed get out of class. At this time, she had already returned to the dormitory to take a shower. After the shower, she sat on the sofa in a bathrobe, read a book, and waited for dinner. Will Cynthia run into any danger? Because the Kelton family is involved in business extensively, so many people are offended. Cynthia looked at the message on the phone and thought about it. "Don't wait for me, I'll take care of it outside for dinner. Roma said to us, I found it, in row A458 in room 18, it will be closed soon, let me take you there." She wrote down the position of the book with a pen on the note, and led us to room 18 and found desolate mountain villa. Cynthia followed Roma and thanked him, then went through the loan procedures and left. "Roma, the library is going to be closed. You should pack your things quickly. Put the key at the front desk and I will get it later. I have to inspect the library again. I am afraid that someone will forget to leave." "Going out?" the defender Gruffer said to Roma. "I know Gruffer, you brat, I don't know that I am slow to clean things up at my age. Mrs. Roma, you have wronged me. I am afraid that you will be locked up alone for a while. If you let Uncle Philip know, I can't explain it." Leaving the library, Noel sighed deeply. "Great, I didn't meet the horror witch, she may be on vacation today. In short, too much luck. Dawson, your mission is completed. Cynthia and I have something when you're out, you'll pick me up when I call." Millsie's winter night was extremely cold, and the heat he had just exhaled instantly evaporated into mist, and dim lights lit up on both sides of the road. The people on the street were in a hurry. They were wearing heavy down jackets and scarves covering their faces. Only a pair of eyes were left exposed. They rushed to get home quickly. The taverns along the street have a very hot business. Hot fans cheer for the team they support. It seems that if all their enthusiasm is consumed, the supporting team will surely win. The lively scene outside is isolated by the car windows, and Leon in the car can't feel their happiness. It seemed that he hadn't smiled happily for a long time. He had been watching Cynthia all these years, and Leon would often feel lonely when he couldn't see her. The sound from outside the car window reached Leon's ears. It seems that something has happened to the image bar in front. A madman took a gun and shot the people in the bar. The scene was very scary. The companion asked curiously, "Then the gangster is caught now?" "The police have already rushed to the scene. I don't know if the criminals caught this. I heard that the bartender who worked at the image bar previously hijacked the guests. I don't know the specifics." The man said with lingering fears, "This is too terrible. I'm also going to invite my friends to have a drink tomorrow. It looks like I'm going to change the house." An hour ago, Noel, who had just finished dessert, said, "Cynthia, let's go to Image. This bar is opened by my friend. He asked me to play a long time ago because I refused to have time." Cynthia's delicate face is full of rejections. She doesn't like noisy places. "Image, there are too many people, next time you go with other friends." Noel said stubbornly, "No, you say, what friends do you have besides me? I will introduce my friends to you." Cynthia held Noel's cute face and smiled sincerely, "It's enough to have you. Noelle flushed, and she stroked her cheeks. How can you say such nasty things, it's disgusting. Noelle's heart is actually very happy. Although Noel seemed to have many friends, most of them came to Noel to please Noel's father. In fact, Noel has always been lonely. She met Cynthia when she was 8 years old. She wanted to be friends with Cynthia, but her arrogant personality did not allow her to speak first. When he was 8 years old, little Noel pushed his father's study away with his little arm, and ran to his father's side, who was the girl at the father's banquet just now. Noel's father recalled, there were many little girls at the party, the one you were talking about. Little Noel played with his fingers and said embarrassedly, it's the best-looking girl at the party. Oh, little Noel, you may be talking about the little princess of the Kelton family. Noel's father took her into his arms and stroked her hair fondly. Does Noel want to be friends with her? It just happened this weekend. I have something to go to Winter Manor to visit Samuel, do you want to go together? Little Noel said proudly that I didn't want to be friends with her. Little Noel broke away from his father's arms. I haven't gone to play in Winter Manor. Since my father wants to go, then I will accompany you. She ran away proudly, and the upward arc of her mouth revealed Xiao Noel's happy mood. At the image bar, Noel raised an eyebrow at Cynthia, the environment is okay. Cynthia looked around. It was not as noisy as he thought. There was jazz music in the bar. The accident happened when there were no signs. A white man rushed into the bar and fired at the unsuspecting people. Chaos was staged in the bar. Cynthia, who was sitting at the bar, pulled Noel, who was sitting next to her, into a place that could be used for cover recently. Noel was shocked by the sudden attack. Her leg was hit by a strafed bullet, and blood flowed from her calf. Noel's tears flowed through her eyes. She cried to Cynthia and said, the lunatic outside Cynthia is still there. Strike, what should we do now? Cynthia calmed the emotional Noel, Noel, don't move, or the blood will flow faster. Cynthia tore off the fabric from his long skirt and temporarily bandaged Noel's wound. Cynthia started to panic. Noel's injury must be sent to the hospital as soon as possible. The bullet on her leg has not been taken out, and the stalemate for too long will endanger her life. The gangsters outside were clamoring, he seemed to be irrational, venting his sins frantically, where is the manager? I will kill all the people here if I come out. He yelled frantically, Bunnier, don't think you are hiding, I don't know you, don't you care about the reputation of the image bar the most? Come out quickly. He stared blankly at the crowd holding their heads trembling, and he laughed wildly, ha ha ha, you guys have today, just because you have a few stinky money and you can do whatever you want, you look really amazing now. Nausea. Manager Bunniel, come out quickly. Don't hide like a mouse. I really miss the way you are usually high. The gangster didn't see the person he wanted to see, and became even more angry. Are you waiting for the police to rescue you? Ha ha ha, don't think about it, the door to the outside has been sealed by me, even if the police come, I can't save you, I have a bomb tied to my body, as long as one of you wants to escape, I will detonate it, and the bomb will explode before you escape the door, killing all of your group of people, ha 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 ha, it's a beautiful picture when you think about it. Because of what he said, the crying in the crowd was more obvious. He stood in the middle of the bar and looked at the panicked people indifferently. You all stand up for me now, don't make me feel bad, or I will kill you now. The crowd began to gather together obediently. Cynthia and Noel, who were hiding on the side, were not found because they were hidden. Cynthia whispered to Noel's ear, Noel is obedient, and I will take you out for a while. Now don't talk at first, close your eyes and you are opening when I say you can. Noel, don't be afraid, trust me. Noel gritted his teeth and nodded towards Cynthia. Cynthia resisted the nausea and slowly moved the bartender who was killed to stand in front of Noel. If you didn't look closely, you wouldn't find her. Cynthia slowly moved aside and observed the situation outside. There were 18 people standing outside and the bar service staff. Among them, there were 6 women and 12 men. The gangster looked at the crowd angrily. He watched everyone carefully and shouted angrily, "Damn it, Bunir, where did he go?" The people in the crowd recognized the gangster. "Is it you, Alan?" He was too panicked. He looked at the person in front of him in surprise. Because of the initial panic, Jack did not recognize Alan in front of him. Half a month ago, at the Image Bar, a well-dressed man threw a glass of wine to the ground. His female companion kept looking at the bartender as soon as he entered the bar, making him very shameless. "What is so good about a little white face? He deliberately make things difficult. Who made this wine? It's awful." The eyes of the surrounding people gathered, and the bartender said apologetically, "Sorry, sir, how about I change a glass for you?" The bartender didn't look irritated at all, making the man very shameless, and it felt like he was making troubles unreasonably. "Change a drink? Hat, it's because you make it difficult to drink. Wouldn't it be easy to change a drink?" The man stood up and looked around. "Where is your manager? Isn't the Image Bar in charge?" The manager is a fat man who is not tall and looks like a slick and sophisticated person. "This guest, please tell me what you are dissatisfied with." The man rolled his eyes and looked at the fat man in front of him. "Finally the person in charge has arrived, this little bartender, who makes a terrible drink. I think you should not come to the Image Bar in the future." Bunny looked at Alan angrily. "What's the matter? I made you a bartender here because of your pitifulness. I didn't expect you to be so useless." Alan wanted to explain, "Manager, I don't tell me, just go to pay the wages and leave now. Image Bar won't want useless people. The manager gives me another chance. I won't be like this next time. I still have a younger sister to raise and I can't lose this job." Bunny ignored Alan's pleading, turned and smiled and said to the customer, "Guest, do you think this is satisfactory?" The man's vanity was greatly satisfied. He nodded and pointed to the other bartender, "Make me a drink again, don't drink as bad as before." The other bartenders watched Alan's end and nodded respectfully, "Okay, guest." At 5 a.m., all the guests in the Image Bar had already left. Bunny whistled and walked towards his car. Just about to start the car, a voice came from behind the car, "The manager gives me another chance. I can't be blamed for everything today. I cannot lose this job." Because of the shock, Bunny said angrily, "Alan got out of my car immediately, or I would call the police." Seeing that Alan had not got out of the car after hearing the warning, Bunny sarcastically, "And you are not an Image Bar staff, don't call me the manager. Do you think I don't know that today's guest is deliberately looking for trouble? He is a guest and you are a little bartender. He has the ability to come to our Image Bar for consumption. He is either powerful or rich and rich. How could I offend guests because of you?" Alan's eyes gradually dimmed. "Is it because I don't have money? Is it nothing? Just because he has money, he can belittle me so far." Bunny is already very impatient. This world is a world where money is supreme. If you don't have money, you are nothing. If you have money tomorrow, come to the Image Bar to spend, I will be very happy to serve you." Alan snarled angrily, "What about my sister? She is still in the hospital. She is counting on the money from my job to treat her illness. Without money, she will die." Bunny pulled Alan off from behind the car and stood up looking at Alan, who fell to the ground. "This is the society of children. I can't do anything about your sister's illness. Blame you on the world." Bunny drew money from his wallet and threw it on Alan's face. "Give your sister the money to see a doctor. I can't do anything about work." After speaking, he drove off. The car flew by, blowing the money on the ground. Everywhere. Why is Alan living so hard and his fate is still unfair to him? God has never listened to his prayers. Alan only hopes to have an ordinary family and Anna has a healthy body. Such a simple wish cannot be realized. It is this world who has driven Alan to a dead end. It has no mercy. If he is guilty, it is the knife you handed. No one is innocent in this world. Alan bought the gun from the internet, and when he planned to go to the image bar today, he thought he would die there. He wanted to retaliate against the person who hurt his sister. Because he could not continue to pay for the medical treatment of his sister in the hospital, his sister was kicked out of the hospital and left in the dark corner like garbage. Alan grabbed Cynthia's neck with his hand. The rage almost made him lose his mind. Cynthia's face flushed and he couldn't breathe. Fortunately, he stopped his hand in time. Alan pointed the gun at Cynthia and looked at the surveillance camera harshly. Said, "Let me go? Or I will kill her." Yarman clenched his hand and hit the monitor fiercely. His eyes were bloodshot with anger. This was an insult to him. In order not to provoke the gangsters, he could only say unwillingly, "Satisfy him." Claim. Alan looked at the monitor with disdain. "I have a bomb strapped to my body. I will detonate it as long as you follow me." Alan dragged his injured leg and hijacked Cynthia and left the image bar. Alan used her lame leg to walk her across a few streets to the place where he parked. Alan found the rope from the car. SIA tied up. Because of his leg injury, the car couldn't start. Alan hammered the steering wheel angrily. The air was almost quiet for more than 10 minutes. He looked at Cynthia behind the car. "Can you drive?" Because of her mouth being blocked, Cynthia couldn't speak. Alan tore off the strip of cloth blocking Cynthia's mouth and mounted her with a vicious look. "Don't play tricks." Cynthia nodded silently. An hour later, according to Alan's guidance, Cynthia drove the car into a messy slum. The air was full of foul smell, but there was such a place hidden behind the bustling city. Alan saw Cynthia looking around curiously, as if his heart was being spied on. His humble self-esteem was at work. Alan, who was calm all the way, suddenly broke out. He stared at Cynthia viciously and made a low voice, "Look at you again." Gouged out his eyes. When I arrived, compared with the dilapidated outside, the inside of the room looked very warm. The weak girl lying on the bed smiled and said to Alan, "Brother, you are back." Alan suddenly looked like a different person, with a smile on his indifferent face, and he gently stroked the girl's hair. "Anna, how is your day?" Anna was silent for a moment and put a smile on her face. "Today, Laura came to see me and brought me a lot of delicious food." Anna saw Cynthia standing at the door and asked in confusion, "Who is this girl, brother?" Alan sat on the edge of the bed and helped Anna on the bed. "This is a colleague in our store, because I told him that I have a younger sister, and she wants to come and see you." The simple Anna believed Alan's words, and she cast an enviable look at Cynthia. "Wow, you are so amazing. I also want to get my body up and find a good job so I can take care of my brother." Cynthia looked at the bed. She was very thin and looked distressing. The girl's innocent smile was reluctant to destroy. Alan winked Cynthia. He closed the door and warned Cynthia not to talk nonsense. Cynthia's delicate face was not nervous at all. "The bomb on you is fake," she said in a positive tone. Alan looked at Cynthia sharply, ignoring Alan's gaze. Cynthia continued, "You are just a bomb disguised as a regular timer. How can you tell that my bomb is not real? Why didn't you tell the police at the bar?" Alan took off the bomb strapped to his body and threw it aside. Alan looked at Cynthia contemptuously. "You can run away if you think the bomb is a fake? Oh, don't dream. As long as you leave this room, I will kill you immediately." He tied Cynthia again and put him in a small place. Room. Alan came to the kitchen to prepare dinner for Anna, but did not see Cynthia. "Brother, where was the sister just now?" Alan poked his head out of the kitchen and said softly, "Just now, her family called and said that something happened at home and left." Anna said regretfully, "I finally got a guest at home. Why don't you leave after dinner?" At Image Bar, Dawson picked up the injured Noel and rushed to the hospital. Noel, who had been in a coma for 3 hours, slowly woke up. She looked around weakly and ordered the maid standing next to him, "Go and call Dawson." The maid nodded respectfully and left the room. 10 minutes later Dawson came to the ward and waited quietly for Noel's order. Noel asked weakly, "How is Cynthia now?" Dawson didn't dare to look into Noel's eyes and remained silent. Noel realized that Cynthia might be in trouble. "Dawson, I order you to answer my question now. Miss Samuel was held hostage by the gangster. The police are already looking for the specific location where the gangster is hiding." Noel supported her body and slapped Dawson with all her strength. She yelled angrily, "Something happened? You guys! Group waste!" The doctor wrapped up the wound, because Noel's movement arc overruns the bleeding. Dawson stayed silently, and Noel gradually calmed down. "Does the Cynthia's disappearance know the news of the Kelton family?" "Dawson, the news of Miss Samuel's disappearance was blocked by Officer Yarman. Very few people knew about it." During the conversation, the phone bell on the table suddenly rang, and Dawson looked at the vibrating phone. "This is Miss Samuel's belongings that fell in the image bar. I took them back together with Mrs. Belongings." Leon returned to the dormitory early to wait. It was almost midnight and Miss Cynthia had not returned to the dormitory. This was not in line with Cynthia's usual habit. If not, Miss Cynthia would send a text message to tell him that he dialed Cynthia. Phone. The bell has rang many times, and Dawson picked up the phone to shut it down. Noel stopped Dawson and said, "Give it to me." Noel picked up the phone, and a calm man's voice came from inside, "Miss Cynthia, it's almost midnight, do you need to send a car to pick up the lady?" Noel said uneasily, "Are you Cynthia's bodyguard, Leon? I heard Cynthia talk about you in the past." "I'm Noel. Cynthia is drunk. I won't go back today." Leon frowned slightly, why he was drunk and couldn't leave Miss Cynthia alone outside. "Miss Noel, please tell me where you are right now. I will pick up Miss Cynthia right now," and Miss Cynthia admits the bed. "I'm afraid Miss Cynthia will be unhappy when she wakes up in an unfamiliar place tomorrow morning." Noel was silent for a while. She didn't know how to answer, and the tears from the corners of her eyes couldn't help but flow down. "Sorry, because I have something wrong with Cynthia." Dawson grabbed the phone and turned it off. "Miss Noel, let the Kelton family know that Miss Samuel's disappearance will have serious consequences." Leon called again, and the phone had already prompted the other party to be turned off. Leon's heart began to panic. He forced himself to calm down and dialed Bob's phone. Bob was interrupted by Leon when he was about to speak. "Bob, help, I'll check the girl named Noel at Colo Hall College, and her current location." Bob saw Leon so anxious for the first time. "What happened to little Scorpion?" Leon squeezed the phone. "Bob, please." On the way to find Bob, he called, "This Noel is a friend of the little princess. She is currently in Send Hospital. She was injured in an accident at the image bar." Leon was even more panicked. He didn't know if Cynthia had an accident. "Thank you, Bob." After hanging up the phone, Leon drove to Send Hospital. He got into the ward where Noel lived. Noel, who was lying on the bed, yelled in horror when he saw someone suddenly appearing beside the bed. Fortunately, Leon blocked his mouth to look at her in time. "I'm Leon, Miss Cynthia's bodyguard, because there are many guards outside Miss Noel's room, so I can only do this and turn in through the window." Because Leon showed his identity, Noel gradually calmed down. Leon asked Noel eagerly, "Where is Miss Cynthia?" Noel was silent for a while and began to talk about what happened at the image bar today. At last Noel cried out, "This is all that happened. If it weren't for me to force Cynthia to go to the bar, no accident would happen. Finally, Cynthia tried to save. I was held hostage by criminals because of me." Leon looked at Noel indifferently, because she was in danger for Miss Cynthia. No matter who hurts Cynthia, Leon will make him pay a painful price. "I hope that Miss Noel can keep a distance from Miss Cynthia in the future. This is good for everyone." Leon left Noel's ward with these words. Leon found Officer Alman's home based on the clues provided by Bob. He sneaked into it and observed the meeting in the room, and found that Officer Alman had not yet returned. The sound of opening the door sounded. Yarman, who had just come out of the police station. Alman is ready to go home and change his clothes. After a busy day, he is now physically and mentally exhausted. When Alman returned home, he was about to turn on the light in the house, and a pistol was aimed at the back of his head. This incident caused Alman's dizzy head to wake up suddenly. The room was quiet and terrible, and the people behind Alman finally spoke, and the cold voice caused the temperature of the room to drop sharply. "Officer Alman, give me all the information about the gangster in the image bar in your hand." Yarman raised his hands above his head. The room was dark and unable to judge the posture of the person behind him. Now he is in a dangerous situation. First, stabilize the gangster's emotions, and his tone is exceptionally submissive. "You can calm down first. As a police officer, it is impossible. Those who took out the confidential information from the police station, and the information of the gunman in the image bar are all in the police station." In the past few hours, Leon has been trying his best to suppress his emotions. His state is very poor. He is very worried about Cynthia's safety, and his thoughts are also very confused. Miss Cynthia will be more dangerous if he delays for a minute. He suppressed his emotions. "Sergeant Yarman, you are the detective of the police station. It's impossible not to know the gangster at all. Don't show me your cleverness. If it's not the incompetence of the police, how could hostages be taken hostage?" Yarman was poked in the pain. "Who are you and what are you going to do?" Leon said indifferently, "We have the same purpose, to rescue the hostages. If you don't want the ending to end, you can only cooperate with me." Yarman looked at his situation awkwardly and asked Leon, "The way you want to work with me is to point a gun at me? You are a crime." In this way, Leon cannot be threatened. "I may not be able to see you through other means. I don't want to waste time. As long as this can achieve the goal, it doesn't matter if you commit a crime. Officer Yarman, if you don't cooperate, I can only find others. Related people, but I can't guarantee the safety of your family." Leon's words made Yarman very angry. "Are you threatening me?" Leon has no patience. "That's right, can we complete our cooperation now?" There is no way. Alman can only cooperate with Leon to inform Leon about the entire content of the image bar incident. Through the comparison of portraits, the police have got the preliminary information of the gangster. The gangster is called Alan, who originally worked in the image bar. A month ago, image bar manager Bunniel was fired because of a dispute with a guest. The police speculated that this bad incident was the criminal's revenge on image bar. Looking at his gun, Yarman said helplessly, "I sincerely cooperated with you, so I won't regret it. Can you stop pointing the gun at me?" Leon thought about putting down the gun in his hand. The lonely voice made Yarman really feel that there would be no good results against him. A liar has no good end. Yarman finally saw the face of the man who was holding him down. The boy in front of him was not very elegant but very dusty, with a cold face. There was a cold breath on his body, which made people unable to approach, and Yarman thought no matter how not such a handsome young man, but with such a compelling aura. Yarman said to Leon, "This Alan has been working in image bar for almost a year. According to the description of image bar manager Bunniel, Alan has caused trouble for him. This Alan was introduced by Bunniel's friend. So Bunniel will endure trouble for Alan many times, and this time he fired him because of complaints from customers." Leon's brows were frowned, and anyone who was driven to a dead end could do anything, and Cynthia must not have an accident. Yarman continued, "Alan has a sick sister. She went to the hospital to check it up. His sister was discharged from the hospital half a month ago. He took his sister, Alan, not far. The problem became serious, and Leon stared at Yarman indifferently. So your police don't know where the gangster is hiding now?" Leon's tone became aggressive. "It's 4 o'clock in the morning, what are you doing these hours?" Yarman's tall body instantly became decadent. He didn't know how to face Leon's words. The hostage's current environment is extremely dangerous, and the murderous character of the gangster can happen any accident. Without getting the answer he wanted, Leon left Officer Yarman's home and drove to Bob's house based on the clues he provided. Bob's house is extremely hidden. Through the narrow tunnel, you will see the iron door that has been in disrepair. The mottled traces make people not pay attention to its existence. Enter the iron door and go left and you will see an elevator. The third floor is the underground. Bob's home is extremely comfortable compared to the dilapidated environment outside. He entered the password to enter the door with the mentality of giving it a try. Leon looked at the opened door. Why didn't Bob change the password? Leon awakened Bob in his sleep, and the dazed Bob was startled when he saw Leon standing on the bedside, and said in surprise, "Little Scorpio, why are you here?" Leon was sad. "Miss Cynthia is missing, I can't find her." And the sleepy Bob heard Leon's words and instantly became sober. "There is something wrong with the little princess, does the master know?" Leon shook his head. "I am not afraid of being punished, I only hope that Cynthia will be safe." It was the first time Bob saw such a Leon. The previous Leon was calm beyond his age and was very indifferent to everything. He couldn't attract his attention except for the task, knowing that the little princess was missing in the end. Place. Image bar. He was hijacked by a gangster named Alan. Bob quickly entered the command on the computer. He hacked into the surveillance near the image bar, retrieved the surveillance content, and found the suspicious person at 9:45. Bob intercepted his facial features and told Lei Ang, "As long as it is determined that this suspicious person is Alan, you can find the specific location of Alan that was recently monitored and photographed." Leon gave Bob the photo that police officer Alman had sent him to Alan. Bob entered the photo into his database. According to the data comparison, 83% of the people on the surveillance are likely to be Alan. Bob continued to enter commands into the computer. Alan last appeared in the Larry slum in the suburbs, where the monitoring range is relatively weak, and the terrain of the slum is complicated. It will take some time to find out where he was last. Bob was extremely excited. "I finally found it." Based on the data, Bob determined that Alan's last hiding place was this area. Bob marked the location displayed on the computer. "Little Scorpio is this area. Send someone to search and you will find the little princess soon." Bob pointed to the computer and said to Leon. He turned his head to find that Leon had already left. Bob shook his head helplessly. "Although the area of Little Scorpio has become smaller, it is difficult for you to find people in the slums with complicated terrain." Leon made a note of the specific location and left before he could say hello to Bob. He sent a text message to Bob. "Time is running out. I will go to Miss Cynthia first. Bob, you inform the host to report Miss Cynthia's disappearance. I accept any punishment."